Let's keep working. Vamos por Yo creo que sí, pues Emilia nos dijo que sí.
Invitamos nuevamente a los participantes de nuestra ponencia para que vuelvan al auditorio.
Agradecemos a todos por la puntualidad. Daremos inicio entonces a las ponencias que están preparadas para el cierre de nuestro congreso.
Our next presentation is truly special, as it brings together the voices of students from both Colombia and the United States, showing how bilingualism and intercultural exchange can shape global citizens. Representing San Luis University High School, we are pleased to welcome Sebastián Smicharango, who is passionate about languages and cultures. He has had several cultural immersion experiences in Medellin, Colombia, and France. For him, languages are fun, they open minds, build empathy, and provide new perspectives. We also introduce Ana Sofía Arrubla, Juan Pablo Porras, and María Salomé Montoya, representing Institución Educativa Juan María Céspedes as active leaders in bilingualism.
Through Project Medellin Connect Ed, students from both countries build bridges of empathy, innovation, and learning, proving that bilingualism is much more than learning a language. It is a pathway to a global future. This presentation is meaningful because it reflects the leadership, commitment, and creativity of our students and demonstrates the power of intercultural processes in education. Please join me in welcoming Sebastián Schmidt Arango and the participating students from Medellin.
Thank you guys for having me here. I am very grateful. And so I believe, should I start presenting now?
Yes, you may.
As I was deciding what I wanted to do for my Eagle Scout project, and an Eagle Scout project is for Boy Scouts, or now Scouting, and it's the most prestigious, the highest award you can get in Boy Scouting. So to be able to get that award, one must have an Eagle Scout project. So for deciding what I wanted to do, I wanted to focus on a subject that was familiar to me as well as relatable. So some of those subjects were travel, of course, being an international program, some different cultures, as well as global education. So I contacted the global education department at SLU, and I got in contact with Mr. Chura, the director of global education here at SLU, and he assigned me to a teacher, Maria Paz Erker, who mentored me during the entire process. And my father, Gustavo Arango, he connected me with Juan Maria Céspedes, and we had several meetings to finally put together this final project, which consists of 8 weekly sessions in St. Louis. They're in the morning on Wednesdays. And this program was open to all SLU students, so 9th through 12th grade, and this would allow them to complete their global education requirement for graduation. And then the Juan Maria Cespedes students were pre-selected, meaning that they had to have a English proficiency of B1, B2, and or C1. They also were a part of the Bachillerato Internacional program. So who benefited from the program? SLU students benefited from the program because they were able to take a piece of culture from someone else. They were able to learn about different people's experiences, their cultures, even virtually from 1,000 miles away. They were also able to learn more about how people, say, commuted to school, or they were able to compare and contrast their day-to-day life, like Colombian students' day-to-day life, compared to students in the U.S. And then the Institución Educativa Juan María Céspedes students, they benefited from the program because they were they improved their English proficiency, which would allow them to improve their final English test scores, which would also allow them to graduate as international high schoolers. And then in general, both schools, as I mentioned before, learned, like, they deepened their awareness about each other's cultures, and yeah. The program consisted, as I mentioned before, 8 weekly cultural exchange sessions in a safe virtual environment. So we would all hop on Zoom, and I would lead the meetings, talk about the daily topic for that day, and then we would go into breakout rooms, and there would usually be one SLU student per 2 Colombian students, and we would converse about the different daily topics and how their day's going. And then Miss Erker or I, both of us, would end with some closing remarks, and we would start planning again for next week. So some dialogue topics for weekly interchange. So these are some of the things we talked about every week. For example, some St. Louis topics were average day-to-day life of teenagers in St. Louis. How do people get to school and from where? And then some questions that actually the SLU students came up with and asked Colombian students were, well, what cities do you know about in Colombia? How much traveling do you do in Colombia and, say, South America? And do you travel to surrounding countries in Latin America? And then as well, for some Medellin topics, these are vice versa. We talked about musical artists. So musical artists, favorite movies, favorite TV series. So we could understand their entertainment culture. So we can understand how their entertainment culture compared to our entertainment cultures, and what were the similarities or differences. And then some questions that Colombian students actually formulated for SLU students were, how often do you see family? How far away do they live? And then, what books do they make you read in Missouri? Such as, what books do students themselves read for fun, as well as what books does SLU make us read? Metrics to measure program success. So, objective measures and subjective measures. Objective measures are like fact. You can prove that this actually happened. You can see it. So my Eagle project was different than most people's, because most people's consist of building a physical object, such as a bench, a shelving unit, so one could easily see that it's there. But with mine, you have to do things a little differently. You can't just see that it's there, but you have to know that it's successful. So, whereas the subjective measures would be feeling. How did this impact you? Did you enjoy my program? So, an example of the objective measures would be the quantitative measures of improvement in English proficiency by Juan Maria Cespedes, meaning, um, meaning how was their English proficiency improved, but via measurements. So Juan Maria Cespedes has shared with me some measurements of English proficiency after my program, as well as years prior before my program. And some my long-term program goals are for my program to be student-run and faculty advised, meaning that students will open, close, come up with the daily topics, do all the planning, whereas the faculty would be there to assist and aid in students that need help, but also to make sure everything stays on topic and it's a safe environment. And also strengthening and improving this program. So we would ask students to fill out surveys, and this would also talk about how they felt, did they enjoy my program, as well as how it could be improved and what were some strengths and weaknesses of my program. Um, and we would ask them to fill out those surveys, and that would also fill out our subjective measures box. And then I believe these slides are going to be presented by the Colombian students.
Sorry.
Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ana Sofia Rula Gomez. I am a student from 11th grade, class number 4, and I want to share with you a little bit about my experience in the first steps of this project. Okay, at the beginning, our teachers selected us and explained what the project was about. Honestly, I felt a bit nervous, but also excited because it was something new. Our parents were also informed, so they understood the importance of this strategy in our learning process, and they supported us from the start. Before meeting with the students from San Luis University High School, we had to prepare ourselves. We worked on possible questions, we practiced pronunciation, and we caught a retired teacher from California, and our teachers helped us a lot. Thanks to them, I felt more confident to speak in English, even if I made mistakes. For me, one of the greatest advantages of this project is it's that it opened doors to the internationalization of our school, Institución Educativa Juan María Céspedes. It also made our bilingualism project stronger and showed us that English is not only a subject, but a tool to connect with people from other cultures. Personally, this experience taught me that learning a language is not only about grammar or vocabulary, but also about sharing ideas, listening to others, and building bridges. It motivated me to continue improving and to believe that we, as students, can be part of Medellin's vision for a more connected and international city. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Laura Montoya, and I'm going to explain the program development. At the beginning, we felt fear and had a little fluency when speaking with native English students because we felt very nervous because they were students from another country. They were completely unknown person, and they used to use many colloquial words, and we used to have a very grammatical accent. So that make the communication being very difficult. But by the pass of the days, we start to make more we start to be more fluent in our discourses. Step by step, we gain confidence and improve our ability to express ourselves because we felt very nervous to talk to them because we don't know anything about them. They were from another country, for a different culture, and we were very nervous to talk with them. We managed to hold longer and more fluid conversation because by the pass of the day, they told us many words that we don't know, but we asked, hey, what that words mean, or please, can you tell me in another way for I understand that word? So it makes like the confidence in our our discourse develop it better. This allows us to achieve not only effective communication, but also to learn more personal aspects. Because it was not only that every Wednesday we have a meeting with another student in another university, it was only that every Wednesday we have a conversation with another friend we have made, and we have known many aspects of their lives. We share many stories about their lives, about their daily routines, about they like about. So that make like the confidence start to grow. Over the time, we build a sense of closeness. Over the time, we build a sense of closeness and connection with the participants because we start to feel them like a brother, like a sister, like a neighborhood we seen in our house around, and we feel that confidence to talk with them because they were another friend. We were talking with them because they were another friend. They were not only another student for another school, and they not were only participating in a project. They were talking with us. Through our section, we engage in dialogues on academic and cultural topics because, for example, in that picture, that day we talk about the typical food, and we asked to the people of the restaurant to prepare us a bandeja paisa for show to them, and they were very impressed that we have made that we have put many effort in that activity for show them that this was our daily lunch for most of all. As the program advanced, we show clear progress in vocabulary and pronunciation because our accent were marked for videos we have shown in with by made by many people, or listening to songs, or also hear many person in the street, and also our teachers. But when we start to talk with them, we start to listen in another accent, more native accent, and that make like us have more confidence at the time of talk because we were going to feel that we were fluent. And finally, by both working together, we strengthen the practical use of English through collaboration because we advance in our level of English, and also we win a friend.
Excelente. Bueno, my name is Juan Pablo Porras, and I will tell you about the results and the impact of this project that my partners just told you about a little bit. First of all, let's begin by the first and most notorious and tangible proof that we have of the results that this project left us. Let's begin with this table. Probably you don't understand what this is, but this is the results of external English tests. For you also to know, to have some more context, us as a student, as public students, we are required at B1 level. In this table, we can see that it's only 3 students that meet that criteria because all of the rest of the classmates are above that level. So it's only 3 that are on the base that is required to us, but the rest of us is above. We are beyond that point. Not only that, but we also, besides improving our scores, we also demonstrated greater accuracy and confidence when using and while using the language. Next slide, please. Thank you. These outcomes, again, confirm that the exchange experience has been a valuable strategy to strengthen the communicative competence and move closer to international standards. And that's what we are aiming for exactly. Next slide, please. No. What did we gain from this and how did we use it? We use it in specific interactions or in specific spaces with other institutions, such as Medellin Challenge, led by San Jose de Las Vegas, with the participation of, I might be wrong, but if I recall correctly, it was around 52 schools, public and private, and we were a part of that. Also, the Saemun, led by the La Salle institution, which invited us and was honestly one of the greatest experiences that I'm sure we can mention in our entire story in the school. Through the educational system is probably one or if not the best experience so far. Please, the next slide. All right, some crucial points to keep in mind about the results and what this project leaves us. First off, the virtual exchange, and let's go beyond what we already know. We already know that we learn from the culture, that we learn from the others, that we learn about the language. But going beyond that point is what it leaves us as persons. It leaves us that economic and geographical barriers are not barriers anymore. If you are good at something, if you have a talent, it doesn't stop at where you are or who you are linked to or what is your monetary capacity. It is, or well, at least we're working for that. It is not linked to who you are or where you come from. It is about if you are good or not. Not if he's good, but he's from, let's say, Africa. So, okay, he's not as good as the one that comes from the United States. Now, with this project, we are leaving behind that sort of stereotypes and we are realizing that geographical and economic barriers are not a challenge anymore. Following on, it fosters empathy, respect, and understanding of diverse realities. We are also creating humans. We're creating human beings, good civilians, good people. Because besides all the educational or the academic stuff, we're also persons. And as persons, we gotta start off by being good people, know what respect is, what sympathy is, and in general having good values. And that is something that we both learn from them and they learned from us. It also promotes analysis and collaboration in international projects. After you have done it once, you can do it twice and you can do it thrice. It strengthens the linguistic, academic, and civic skills. Also related to what I was saying, just one point prior, with this, we are forming and we are creating a new generation of students that are not limited by any sort of barriers and are also good human beings. No, it also shapes students with critical thinking, global vision, and respect for diversity. Being allowed to know other realities and other points of views towards certain things allows us the space and the opportunity to think, to ponder about things. She sees things one way, I see things another way. Why? Why is that? That allows us to question ourselves and come to new perspectives of the world. Finally, it shapes global citizens prepare for the challenges of the future. And when I'm saying that it prepares and it shapes citizens for the challenges of the future, it goes back to the first point. We gotta work on destroying and leaving all sorts of barriers or stereotypes behind. Now we gotta look and be thinking of the world as just one, how can I say, like one entity, and that you can be anywhere, and that you can be anywhere, and that all of us can be anywhere if we are good at what we are good at. Being a little bit redundante. But if you think about it, it has logic. I'm not crazy. All right. Next slide, please. I think that was the last slide, actually. Okay, that was the last slide. Thank you.
I think that applause was not enough. Okay, of course, we have some questions. And here we have one for Sebastian and also for our Juan Maria Cespedes students. Maybe it can be one or two or the three of you, okay? The question says, how do you think this experience could be extended not only to your classmates, but also to other institutions in the city or across the country?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, this was our first year, obviously, but I'm hoping that this program will start picking up more speed, more people want to join, and then other institutions will be able to see the success that this program is having, and then they'll want a program like this in their institutions, and then they'll realize through these programs that global education and global citizenship is our future.
Do you want to add anything?
No, I can
Okay.
answer the next
Okay,
question.
next question. This is for you, one of you three. What is the best memory of this project and something that was not that good?
I can answer the best moment, but not the worst because I didn't have the worst moment. My best moment because in that moment I felt very impressed because I were talking with a guide what were in that university, and we were talking about music, and I asked them what kind of music they like. He likes, and he told me I only like classical music, and I were very impressed because I told you don't have any other idea of another type of music, and he told me not. I haven't listened in another music, and I don't know anything about another type of music, and that impressed me so much because in my culture I have listened in many types of music. So I were like I was under him because if he only listening to classical music, and also because later I asked student if he has some social media for large that contact with him, and he told me no, I only have phone number and I don't have anything else. And I was very impressed because here in Medellin, we used to have many social media, and I think that was the best memory because I understand that there's people with my same age and in another country when that don't know anything about I use every day.
And about the not so good moment, I've one. I think like I knew what moment it was from the moment I heard the question, and it was the moment that I came to realize that the program, that project, was ending. When we felt like those 8 weeks passed so fast, like always you were waiting all week just for it to be Wednesday, just for it to have the the encounter. And when we were told this is the last encounter, this is the last week, we have come to the end of the project. That was the worst moment for me.
That was a great answer as well. Okay, we have another question for Sebastian and for you, three guys. It says, as young people, what advice do you want to give to your classmates and the students who walk behind you in order to believe in the treasure of bilingualism?
Oh yeah, that's another really good question. Well, first of all, for students, like there's many students at SLU who aren't very interested in global education, even though it's this big, huge portion of SLU. But something I would tell them is, well, obviously get into global education. At least do one project here and there. Get connected with the teachers and maybe do my program. But I would say to get involved with global education because you get to meet all these wonderful new people. You get to experience different cultures and different cultures from 1,000 miles away. And it's just incredible to be able to see like such as what they eat compared to what you eat, how you get to school, all the differences, and even all the similarities are. It's just a really fun experience.
Next one. You're famous today. How did you develop the interactions? Was it done individually or you participated as a group?
Bueno. Can you repeat the question again, please?
How were the sessions developed? Was it individually or you participated as a group?
We did participate as a group. We were organized as two students from our school, Juan María Céspedes, and one student from the the San Luis University High. So we were three. We were separated in trios, two from here, one from there.
Okay. Another question is, how has this experience changed your view on the learning of a foreign language? Any suggestions for the teachers beyond having their students interact with people from other countries? Is that the best way? What's like your opinion?
Okay, for example, to me, at the beginning, learning a language was about only grammar, vocabulary, practice. But with this project, I learned that learning a language is not only that. You have to listen to others, you have to share your ideas, even if you made mistakes. And you learn a lot of colloquial vocabulary, phrasal verbs, things that improve your fluency. And this is really important learning a languages. You don't have to be afraid to speak in English. If you have the tools, if you have this project, you have the opportunity to improve your skills. You have to take it. You have to take advantage of these tools, of these projects, and improve your level, improve your fluency, improve everything. You learning a new language is really important to not only be focused on grammar or vocabulary, something like that, but also express your ideas and you will be better in the language.
This is not a question, but it was a message that was written, so I'm gonna read the last part for you. And it says, "You rock it, great work, congratulations." So thank you very much for being here, and congratulations, guys.
Bueno, aprovecho este pequeño espacio para robarles un minutico de su tiempo. Y es que quiero recordarles que también más allá de formar buenos estudiantes preparados para estándares internacionales, también tenemos todos una tarea y es la cual comienza aquí, en nuestro barrio, en nuestra comuna, en nuestra ciudad, en nuestro país. Como jóvenes, hoy aquí habemos dos candidatos a algo llamado el Consejo Municipal de Juventudes. ¿Qué quiere decir esto? Nosotros queremos ser, para ponerlo en palabras coloquiales, me disculparán los que solamente hablan inglés, un hermano mayor. Ser el hermano mayor que cuando por decir algo, el tío está en contra del hermanito de uno sale a dar la cara por él, uno sale a representarlo, uno sale a hablar por él. Nosotros queremos hacer eso con la juventud de esta ciudad, con la juventud de Medellín. Así que si ustedes tienen hijos, si ustedes tienen sobrinos, nietos, conocidos que tengan más de 14 años y menos de 28 años, pueden votar por nosotros este 19 de octubre, que también, como ya pues aquí todos somos, la mayoría pues somos ciudadanos, sabemos que el votar, el ejercicio de votar tiene unos beneficios también interesantes. Entonces, los invito a que voten por nosotros este 19 de octubre, numeral 14, justicia al derecho. Muchas gracias.
No soy capaz de quedarme callado. Esto es el sueño de un maestro.
Okay, thank you, guys. And now you have some homework for October 19th. Okay, thank you, guys.
And thank you, Sebastián, over there. Thank you very much.
Now it is an honor to introduce Mr. Robert Chura, a teacher and director of global education at St. Louis University High School with 29 years of experience at this Jesuit institution. Mr. Chura has developed numerous programs, including language immersion, cultural and educational travel exchanges.
He also founded the One Word Club to promote citizenship among students. The title of his presentation is Developing Global Citizens Through Your Institution's Mission. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Robert Chura. Mr. Robert, we cannot hear you yet.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully you can hear me now.
We can, yes.
Great, great, great. Well, thank you for having me. I'll share my screen and we will begin. Fantastic. Well, as mentioned, my role is the Director of Global Education, and it is a new role for us at St. Louis U High. We are an over 200-year-old Jesuit high school only for boys, 9 through 12, and you just met Sebastian, who is a great example of what we are trying to promote at St. Louis University High School. And as I started my role as Director of Global Education, again, it was a very blank slate. There was no playbook of how we were going to make this all happen. So we needed to decide what and how we were going to develop these students that we could call global citizens, that have the skills that we value in a global education program. And so one of the first things that we did was we developed presentations for advisory. And advisory is a period we have twice a week when our students are allowed to investigate something that is very important to the school community, but it doesn't really fit into a class. And so global education fit very nicely into that opportunity. And so I'm going to take you through a presentation that we would typically do with our students, just to get them to better understand what it is we're trying to accomplish and how and why. Okay, so I am a Russian teacher, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to travel to Russia much recently for obvious reasons, but I've been taking my students to Krakow, Poland. And we have Jesuit partners there, and it's a wonderful place, and I'm happy to go every time. And when I'm there, one of my favorite things about traveling is the breakfast at the hotel, because it's this opportunity, especially when I'm in an international city, to kind of see everybody else that's in the hotel. And it's people from all over the world, and we're all doing something that we all do together, which is have breakfast. But breakfast looks a little different. And here in the United States, a lot of times when we think of breakfast, we think of just eating too much. In fact, it's funny that sometimes breakfast buffets feel like a challenge for us Americans. Like, just how much food can we eat? It's very much kind of a funny part of our culture that sometimes we eat too much. That's kind of our reputation. But when you go and have breakfast all over the world, it's going to look a little bit different. So, I show these slides to my students and say, this is breakfast in one part of the world. What looks like breakfast to you? And they say there's some things that they recognize and some things that they don't. This is an English breakfast, for example. And, they say, I can't really imagine having tomatoes for breakfast or mushrooms. Okay. And then I show them this example. This is a Polish breakfast. And usually they point out, potatoes might be okay. And it looks like there's some meat there. But those black sausages, I have no idea what that is. That's not breakfast to me. Okay. And then you will hopefully recognize this because this is Colombian breakfast. So a lot of items that you would recognize, but some of them don't look like breakfast to our students. And then lastly, this is Taiwanese breakfast. And again, they compare and contrast and, figure out what looks like what they would expect and what looks like it, what looks strange to them. So, breakfast is breakfast. Nobody's doing it wrong. It's not like there's a part of the world where they wake up and say, oh, I wish I was in this country, because they really do breakfast the right way. Everybody does breakfast their own way, and nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's just one of these cultural things that's fascinating and that, separates us, but also, there's a lot of common thread there. And it's not just what breakfast looks like, but how we have breakfast. So what you see in front of you is probably the most basic element that we in America would recognize as breakfast: bacon. And I ask my students, how do you eat bacon? And whether you're aware or not, unfortunately, in the United States, everybody eats bacon with their hands, which seems crazy because in a lot of parts of the world, eating greasy meat like that, that's obviously with a fork. So again, are we wrong? Are they wrong? No, we're just different, and it's exciting to be different. Here's examples of some of our culture. On the right, you see an Emo's Pizza. This is the most famous pizza in our city. All of our kids recognize this. All right, but a lot of people would not see that as pizza. That might not look like kind of what you would think of as pizza because it's very thin and crispy. And French fries, of course, everybody eats French fries. But is Poland wrong because they put corn on their pizza? No, they're not wrong. Is Belgium wrong because they put mayonnaise on their fries instead of ketchup? No, of course they aren't. Okay, but it's not even just what we eat, but how we eat it sometimes. So again, the big idea is different doesn't equal wrong. As American students, sometimes we get caught up in American pride and we think, the way other cultures look like ours is the degree to which, they're good. Cultures that look like ours, yeah, those are people that we understand. And cultures that are different, well, they're wrong in some way. And, we want to challenge that idea. And that exists across all cultures, but I know it's something that we especially have to work on. So recognizing kind of where your students are at as, 14, 15, 16-year-old boys, this is a lot of times kind of just all that they've seen in life. They think that the world looks like St. Louis. We want them to embrace this idea that we are more alike than we are unalike. And this is a poem by actually a woman from St. Louis, Maya Angelou, just about that I think really captivates what we hope to develop in them. So the next step is why. They say, my students can say, we live in St. Louis, Missouri. We're in the middle of the United States. We don't have all that many international visitors. Why does it matter that I become more globally competent and more of a global citizen? And the thing that most recently in our history that we can point out is that we are so globally interconnected. I'm 55 years old. I have always been a very globally minded person, but honestly, I've lived my whole life in St. Louis, Missouri. There wasn't that opportunity to be as connected as our students are today. Now, these recent events have been tragedies, and they're definitely problems. But if nothing else, though, the only good thing that comes out of them is that they show just how much everything that happens in our global community affects us all. The pandemic, certainly we all saw that, this thing that happened or began in one part of the world, we all suffered in different ways, but in great ways. the wars that are going on in the world. As a Russian teacher, obviously, I'm greatly invested in the war in Ukraine, and I'm actually a Ukrainian American myself. But we can see just how these events have ripple effects everywhere. The search for sustainable energy is something that we're all trying to fix. And climate change, definitely, it's visible everywhere. And the question that I ask my students is how are we going to solve all these problems? Is it just going to be like in Hollywood movies that the United States is going to rally and we're going to come up with all the answers? Of course not. We're going to come up with some good answers, but we always come up with better answers, especially for a global problem, when we all work together. We don't just cooperate. The word cooperate is a good word, but it's not nearly as powerful as the word collaborate. Cooperate is just we all agree to kind of work by the same rules and get along. Collaborate is where we actually all come in with new points of view and we build something that hasn't been that didn't exist before. It's a true hybrid, and everybody equally participates and contributes to that. So some great examples of where they can apply their energies are, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals. All right. These were created by the UN, several years ago, and we're still working on them. These are concrete examples, and this is something that our students learn about in 9th grade of global challenges that we need to step up and meet in some way. And in some instances, our country and our community is doing a great job, and in other instances, we're not. And these are the challenges that we try to inspire our students to take on. The other part of it, and this is where this fits our mission at St. Louis U High, but maybe your institution has a little bit different slant on this. In the Jesuit world, we have the universal apostolic preferences: showing the way to God, walking with the excluded, journeying with youth, caring for our common home. If we go back and look at those sustainable development goals, we can see where 4 or 5 of them fit nicely into these more general statements that are more powerful in the Jesuit network. So, with the UN development, those SDGs, those are kind of calls to the world. But in our Jesuit community, they look a little bit different and maybe have a different form, but it's all kind of coming back to the same thing. These global challenges that we need to put our best efforts towards solving, and through collaboration within our network. So within the Jesuit network, a definition of global citizenship was developed in the North American community. And, this is what we really feel like we're called to do: to create global citizens, people who are who continuously seek to deepen their awareness of their place and responsibility, both locally and globally, in an increasingly interconnected world. Those who stand in solidarity with others in the pursuit of a sustainable earth and a more humane world, as true companions in the mission of reconciliation and justice. A very powerful statement, a very ambitious statement, one that really fits and resonates with our students. But again, as we're developing these to fit your own schools or institution's mission, maybe yours looks a little different. Maybe your motivations come from different sources. But for us, this is how we make it fit our mission as Jesuit schools. And these are things that are reinforced with all of the messages that they receive within our school. So the next question my kids ask is how. So, okay, great. You've made your point. This is all stuff that we need to be involved in, but how are we going to do this? Again, we're in St. Louis, Missouri. We're not New York City or Los Angeles. where are we going to get involved? And I think this phrase is pretty common all over the world. We're going to do that by thinking globally, but acting locally. Okay. And how do we do that? So first, at St. Louis U High, we created a global education graduation requirement. So every student at our school is required to participate in at least one major global education-based experience in their 4 years. Okay, and so you see some pictures there. Right in front of you is a picture of a family from Colombia who is hosting one of our students there. He's right in the middle. That was one of our language immersion exchanges. The students on the left there, they're in Poland and they're working with Ukrainian refugees during the early stages of the war in Ukraine. And then on the right is the One World Club. And this is the, kind of within our school community club that focuses on global issues and how we can do things locally to really learn more about them and participate in them and work towards solutions. So, in order to provide all these opportunities for our students to get involved, if we're going to say you have to do something, we have to provide a network of opportunities that are going to allow that to happen. So how do we think globally? Well, we think globally through language immersion exchanges. Okay, at our school, we teach Arabic, Chinese, French, Russian, and Spanish. And for all of those exchanges, we have language immersion opportunities. Our students taking Arabic go to Morocco for several weeks and live with a host family. Our students taking Chinese go to Taiwan. Our students taking French go to France. With Russian, we've had to send them now to Latvia, Riga, Latvia, to do an immersion program with Russian-speaking families there. And Spanish is our most popular language. We go to Colombia, to Bucaramanga. We go to Chile, to Santiago, and we go to Spain, to Pamplona. And these are all Jesuit partners who understand and embrace the mission that we're about. And so it's a very, comfortable family setting. And these mostly happen in the summer. We've also created service immersion. Our school's mission is about serving the community. For example, we have a thing called Senior Project, where in the 12th grade, students take an entire month off of school and they travel to some site, either here in St. Louis or internationally, to do service. So our students who take Chinese go to Taiwan and do service. Our students who take Arabic go to Jordan. The students who take Russian go to Poland, et cetera, et cetera. So there's these service immersion programs. There's also ones that we do here locally in the United States, but also that focus on global issues. We send students to the Mexican border to work with the Kino Border Initiative so that they better understand the whole immigration issue. And then there's educational travel. All of the elements of our curriculum have a global piece as well. So our science program is enhanced by opportunities for students to go to South Africa and work with rhino rescue groups. Or this spring break, they're going to go and work with a marine biology program. Our theology program takes students on an Ignatian pilgrimage where they walk in the footsteps of St. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits. Our social studies program took students to Mexico and Peru and visited these ancient cultures, the Incas and the Mayas. Fine arts goes and performs in Germany, for example, to learn more about the foundations of classical music, etc. Okay, so there's the global piece. Where can we go out and learn more about these things in the world? The local piece, though, is opportunities to expand themselves globally at home. They can be a host family. When we host students from Poland, Colombia, Chile, Germany, France, when they host these kids in their home, it's a great opportunity for them to learn from that. In spring, we have students from Taiwan, Spain, Ireland, and France again, okay? One World Club, which has already been mentioned. Sebastian is a great example of One World Club. Year-round, they have speakers, local events, conferences, school campaigns, and virtual programs like Sebastian has organized for our kids to become more globally minded without having to leave the United States. And then more recently, we've expanded our virtual exchanges. The SLU Language Academy was one of the things that inspired Sebastian to do his project. The SLU Language Academy is where our students talk to refugees in Ukraine. And also we're looking to expand into Jordan, just about their situation and just to give them English practice. So nobody has to learn any language. They're just helping these people speak their, improve their English skills. We do a Modern Languages Summit where our more advanced students can do 3 weekends in a row where they talk in depth in Russian, Chinese, Spanish, French, etc., with native speakers, and then they have English conversations again about these global issues. And then we also have the Jesuit Global Activism Leadership Summit, something where we invite schools within the Jesuit network to work together over the course of several weekends. The students get in groups of 7 or 8 students from all over the world, and they put together a project that addresses one of those UAPs that I mentioned earlier in each student's community. So there's the acting locally part. What can I do without leaving my country? And then the last piece of it, there's this Ignatian Global Scholars Program that if students get involved in this, they're required to complete 7 of the 9 components, and which requires a little bit of extra work on their part. But it's a recognized program by the Jesuit network. Each part fits into either the context or experience, reflection, action, and evaluation categories. So, for example, the context piece. They need to take courses like world religion or world literature, something with a global focus. They need to take at least 3 years of language study, which seems like very little to you, I'm sure, but here in the United States, that's a significant commitment because we're not as much of a language community as other countries are. And then they need to participate in like 2 different events each year that have a global citizenship focus. So these could be speakers and conferences like this one, for example. Experience, they need to participate in some type of intercultural experience. Whether that's these exchanges, travel experiences, etc. And then extracurricular involvement, like being in a recycling club or an ecology club. All right. Again, these are, some of these elements that would satisfy the program. They're required to do continuous reflection. They're required to do some type of long-term project, which their senior project usually that satisfies that requirement. I talked about that month in January where they do something that has a global focus. And then there's evaluation at the end where they take a look back and see where that growth came and how maybe we can improve the program. So in general, our focus is where can SLU take you? And, we mean that both in a literal sense. Where can we take you? Where do you want to go to expand your experiences? But we also say that in the sense of where can we take you internally? How do we move you out of your comfort zone? And for one student, that might be going to a part of the world and doing service. For another, that could be just hosting a student in their home and learning a little bit about what their life is like. We're trying to meet kids where they're at, but to feed this ability to see the world through someone else's eyes and to expand their their perspectives beyond just what their local community has given them. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen and we'll open up to questions.
Mr. Chira, thank you very much for your time. We do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Number one, what are the key indicators that show a school is successfully developing global citizens?
Good question. And that is a piece that we're working on right now. There are some metrics. There are some like global awareness indexes that are out there. And that's what we're doing right now, is trying to see what would really best measure that within our school community. Currently, what we've done is we've had kids fill out an index of where they're at as global citizens when they're in 9th grade. And this current 12th grade will be the first one that we've really worked with extensively. And we will have them fill out that same survey closer to the end of this school year, and we're going to see maybe where we've made progress in those different areas, and have the kids kind of look at how their attitudes have changed. So that's one internal way, but there are some well-recognized metrics out there. And you can look around. The World Economic Forum is a good source for some of that, and it's the data that it produces is pretty fascinating.
All right, and one more question. What was the main contribution or reflection of this meaningful experience for the students in terms of global challenges, conflict, and culture?
So I guess the best example of an outcome that we felt proud of and felt like we were doing something that really mattered was at the end of the first Jesuit Global Activism Leadership Summit that we conducted. And we had about 100 students who participated. And they really, they couldn't wait to get to the weekend to get back with these groups of kids. So, and their presentations that they did at the end just went way beyond any expectations that we had. We were just hoping they would get the project done and it wouldn't look like a failure. And it was a really, really huge success, not because of anything we did as teachers, but because it was just an opportunity for these motivated kids to do something together. So there was that part of it, just the practical outcome. But more than anything, the thing that stuck with me was we were letting them, they had 5 minutes to just unmute themselves and say what they really liked. And there was this one boy, he was from a school in Italy, and he was waving his hand wildly. His name was Lorenzo, and we had already let him say some things that were a little more practical. And then finally, at the end, I said, we're done. And he looked so disappointed. And I said, okay, wait, just let's go one more second and let Lorenzo talk. And he said, the biggest thing is, I feel like I really made friends in this. I feel like even though we never met, these people are my friends, and that we became closer as a group. And I mean, that was, we were all just so happy to hear that these kids, they are, they're the future. They're the ones that are going to get us out of the challenges that we face. And it's one of those times as a teacher where you feel like the kids actually got it. The message was received. So I guess that's the best example. I hope that was the question that was being asked.
Mr. Shura, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your participation in our Congress, and thank you.
Thank you.
We are glad to introduce the speakers for our next section, who will explore the integration of AI in language teaching. We are joined by 3 experts from language school at University of Antioquia. They are dedicated to exploring edtech tools and artificial intelligence for language teaching. Sebastián Ramírez is an English as a foreign language teacher. His teaching philosophy is based on active methodologies and the use of educational technologies and artificial intelligence.
Lina Infante is an English teacher with a master's degree in education and human development. She has experience teaching at all levels, from preschool to higher education. Edwin Ferney Ortiz Cardona holds a master's degree in education and teaching and has over 20 years of experience teaching English. He has focused his interests on teachers training and implementing active teaching methods. The title of their presentation is Colaboratorio Tecnolenguas, a virtual community of practice in generative artificial intelligence. Please give a warm welcome to our speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for this kind invitation. We feel honored, don't we, dear colleagues? Well, let's get straight to business. Go ahead, my dear.
Thank you very much for having us here. Welcome. My name is Lina Infante. I'm very nervous, by the way, just in case. And I am here with my dear colleagues, Sebastián Ramírez and Ferney Ortiz. We are going to talk about our virtual community, Colaboratorio Tecnolenguas. We will talk about it in depth. Our time is short, so we will answer questions at the end. Hopefully, please have your scan ready because we're going to show you some QR codes to interact with you at the end. Thank you very much.
Let's pass to the next slide, please. Okay. A community begins, pay attention to this. A community begins with a seed. And in our case, what is a seed? A worry, an interest, a challenge. But the seed needs someone who can water it, yes, to be able to grow. That is why we are going to share with you how we began, where this community started, what we have done, but the most important, we want you to be part of the community. Let's continue to the next slide, please. So, during the presentation, during these 20 minutes, there is a key word, colaboratorio. We want us to collaborate. There is a Padlet, the link, and you have the QR, that the idea is that you are going to be able, during these 20 minutes, to share with us, to answer this question: which digital tool or technological practice has transformed my teaching or learning experience the most. Think about strategies, tools to share with everybody, because remember at the end of the 20 minutes, this is gonna be something useful for everybody, okay? Is it possible for you to scan the QR? Or I
Did
think
everyone scan the code? Not yet? Okay, let's go back.
not yet.
One moment. Yes.
And for those people who are connected, I think maybe they are gonna get the link.
It's too small?
20 more
It's a
minutes.
shame. It's a shame.
Okay, remember community, we need people to be part of the community, to learn, to share, to grow together.
Try to
We have
zoom in.
challenges, worries, etc. The idea is to share them and to grow.
Raise your hand if you access the Padlet already. Yes. We have people in the back who access. So I
Excellent.
think we can move along. Don't worry. The code will appear later on. Okay. Let's move forward, my friends. Okay. So I want to explain very fast the trajectory. How did we reach this community? Okay. As we mentioned in the introduction, we are adjunct language teachers from the School of Languages in the University of Antioquia. And all this started in the year 2021 with a strategy called Te Acompaño. This was a strategy during the COVID-19 pandemic for teachers to work together online and express their problems, their difficulties teaching during the pandemic. Then this moved on to another group called Teacher Narratives. Yes, and then it evolved to a general strategy from the Continuous Professional Development Program, which was coordinated by our dear colleague, Christian Correa. And from there, let's move forward to the next slide. There was a term that Christian coined called CARP. CARP in Spanish would be Comunidades de Aprendizaje, Reflexión y Práctica. So it is the notion or the invitation for adjunct teachers to start and carry out communities, not only about technology, but about different topics that they need to address, maybe social-emotional learning or classroom management, among others. So finally, among these different ideas, we identified the need to address this issue that has congregated all of us, AI and technology, right? So therefore, we started this group called Colaboratorio Tecnolenguas. It is with the explicit purpose of collaborating and seeing how do we address this? How do we implement technology and generative AI in the classroom? So very important to point out, we are not experts. We are not software engineers. We are not experts in AI. We are simple EFL teachers, as all of you are, but with the curiosity and the need to address this issue. How do we learn about this collaboratively, right? Let's move forward, please.
Well, one of the characteristics of this community is we are not pushed, obligated to attend. You can attend 1 week or any other week, or there are even people who just attend once a month. So, however, we have some recurrent members, and we would like to thank them because thanks to them, we are here with you and the community, it's a reality. So we have Nancy, Margaret, Jaime, Christian, Tatiana, Elsa, Jennifer, and many more. Actually, in our community, there are over 40 teachers, but again, the flexibility is one key here.
Let's move forward, please.
Okay. Why this community? So I think we agree, or you are going to be agree with me, because we have challenges, worries, sometimes frustrations. You know, technology now, artificial intelligence is growing a lot, and sometimes we can feel a little frustrated because of there are many things, and we think how we are going to face these challenges. How? So that is why we decided to, and sometimes we feel isolated. Oh, I feel alone. What should I do? Who can I talk to? So we decided to create a community in order to help each other, to support each other with the community.
Very well. So as Fer just mentioned, we decided to start a community. This concept of communities of practice or faculty learning communities or professional learning communities, these can be carried out virtually or face-to-face on site. However, given that our group is made up of adjunct teachers that work in multiple institutions, yeah, they can work in public schools or in universities, we decided for the group to be virtual. So we meet via Zoom on a weekly basis. And this image simply tries to sum up that idea that there are different definitions of communities, but we decided to capture the common elements into this idea of a CARP, Comunidad de Aprendizaje, Reflexión y Práctica. And the framework that we follow in this community is the INSPIRE framework. I'm not sure if you've heard of this. This is from Gabriel Diaz-Majoli and Silvana Richardson. And this is a framework that tries to address how can continuous professional development strategies be effective. So the INSPIRE refers to the acronym. The acronym goes by the following elements: impactful, needs-based, sustained, peer collaborative, in practice, reflective, and evaluative. So the idea is for professional development initiatives to try to include these important dimensions. Good, let's continue.
Okay, remember at the beginning I told you that a community needs a seed, a worry, a challenge, etc. Think about this. The seed can grow alone. Yes? The seed needs soil, water, sunlight. Yes? And what happens after the seed has water, sunlight, and soil? What is the consequence? What happens? It grows and branches, leaves. Yes? Good. Think about our community as living ecosystem. Living ecosystem. So in this ecosystem, each member is like a tree. And each member is gonna bring ideas, life, oxygen. Yes? And what is the idea at the end? To be able to create a forest. That's the idea with our community.
That's correct. Let's move to the next slide. Very well, Lina. Okay, so moving on quickly to some technical aspects. The idea is not to address like the rest of the lecture, generative AI, but we have all learned about it. We have heard about this, so many models, Claude, Google Gemini, etc. So let's just make a very fast recap. As we know, the main technology is called machine learning. From machine learning, we have the notion of artificial neural network, or ANN, which is a type of machine learning. But then from here, we reach the point of GPT. When we say chat GPT, this is called a generative pre-trained transformer. As the name says, it is pre-trained with millions and millions of content and data on the internet. And that is what is used to generate all these things that we want it to generate. A lesson, a video, an audio. Yes, I'm sure that all of us here present have started using these models for these very useful things as teachers. So this is just simply to keep in mind that this is like the logical sequence. And it is the second part of the group. It's a community that addresses generative AI in language teaching. Continue.
But it's also a community for research and for expand our knowledge on what is happening right now with AI, which is growing really fast. So, given the circumstances, we were talking about this other concept, which is stochastic parrots. Think about what can a parrot do, right? They can talk, but what do they speak? Anything? Only what you teach the parrot to do. Basically, that's kind of the concept we were talking when talking about AI. Right? So that is when the need of a human eye and the human knowledge is important. You cannot trust the tool 100% because it's not producing new knowledge. It is using what you are giving it to just rephrase or mix it up, and it has great ideas, but they are not just out of the blue or from the machine itself, but from the information you are giving it to it. So this is important because we do need to promote critical thinking among our students. Okay, it's not only, oh no, AI is dangerous or don't use it, but it's also creating the consciousness of why. Why is dangerous, or why is it not 100% reliable? Okay.
That's correct, Lina. So as she mentioned, yes, the notion of stochastic parrots simply calls us to be very critical with the use, and it's like a calling for all of us to learn how to use this critically and ethically. And speaking of that, now we can see here we're going to share with you three comments from our community. We have carried out like interviews, and we want to just express with you three simple ideas or phrases from anonymous comments from members that tries to summarize what has happened in our community. I'm going to read the first one, and then my colleagues will read each one. This is the first one, a little bit of Spanish. Dice lo siguiente: yo sentí como por fin tengo un equipo, y ya cuando fui a la universidad y reconocí cómo algunas caras y yo ya por fin formamos un equipo en la universidad. So this is simply a notion of how adjunct teachers, cátedra teachers, we feel isolated. Who do I talk to? How do I plan my lesson? How do I address AI? No, with the community, we can work together on a weekly basis and express our concerns.
The second one. Aquí no hay ningún experto, que todo lo estamos construyendo, que te sientes en la libertad de participar, eso es. Es muy positivo porque eso genera en nosotros confianza. As previously mentioned, we are not leaders, coordinators, we are a team. We are colleagues. So it really feels easy to talk to. Sometimes we are not even academic. We just talk about our experiences, which is also important as educators.
Es que si no es por este medio, Colaboratorio Tecnolenguas, nosotros que somos profesores de cátedra, pues casi ni nos vemos con ningún otro. Entonces, obviamente, para mí, yo aprendí a ser profesora siendo estudiante de mis colegas y lo sigo siendo. Think about it. Bien, and next. Bueno, remember that we have a Padlet. Are you participating on the Padlet? The idea is to share tools or to answer the question about which digital tool or technological practice has transformed my teaching or learning experience the most. Let's continue colaborando. Bueno, next slide.
Very well. So now we want to mention here, what have we done and what have you learned so far? We have been discussing on a weekly basis and addressing these issues, but this has given us some results, some tangible results. We decided as a community to create a guide for the ethical use of AI in education, either in language education or education in general. Again, we are not experts, but we are working on the field, and we said, why don't we work together to create a simple guide that we would like to share with the community and receive feedback. So here, there is a second QR code. This one is bigger. So we invite you to please scan this QR code. This is our manuscript of this guideline. So we invite you to give it a read. It's not very long. It's about 7 or 8 pages, right? And it contains basic elements about ethical considerations of using AI in the classroom. In our community, we are starting to implement this and discuss it with our students because we believe that this is like a shared responsibility. Yes, as teachers, we have responsibilities how to use this new technology ethically, but our students as well. So we invite you to scan the code, check out the document, and feel free to give us back, give us critique. Feel free to comment, okay? Let's continue. Or use it as well. Mm-hmm. Lina makes a very good point. Not only to comment, feel free to implement it in your classrooms if you see that it fits your class and your group.
I want to complement something because innovation is direction. We shouldn't trust 100% on technology, on artificial intelligence. Let's imagine something to be able to complement what we have done. Let's imagine that we are driving in a new highway. How do you feel? Huh? Comfortable. In a new highway, how do you feel? Good. But what happens if the highway doesn't have speed limits? It doesn't have signs. What's going to happen? We are going to maybe to crash. That is why we decided to have this is a guide in order to think about how we are going to use the artificial intelligence in a responsible and safe way, not only as this case as teachers, but also the students.
Very well. To close our presentation, I believe this is the most important part of our presentation. We want to share with you some tips so that you, dear colleagues, dear teachers, can start your own communities. We believe that this is the formula. This issue that we are all worried about. Start communities in your schools, face-to-face or online. So the tips are, number one, define a common purpose. It does not have to be about AI. Again, it can be any topic that your community is concerned about. What is the purpose of this community? Number two, identify the key members. What teachers, what colleagues can occupy certain roles? Yeah, maybe in communications, in media, or in leadership, etc.
Okay, so in the meantime you read, I want you to, some of you, think about a house. To be able to build a house, we need a structure, we need members, because a house become a home when? When does a house become a home? When we live in the house. That's something important. But, of course, in the house, we need some infrastructure to be able to feel safe, but we need some rules to be able to live in the house. Okay? Next.
Okay, so after you define everything that they explored before, the way maybe virtual, maybe hybrid, maybe face-to-face, depending on the school, you are going to design ways to energize the group. We already know as teachers the warm-up, the engaging activity. You need to plan certain activities to keep them engaged again and motivated. And you need to set the roles for each member of the community, which is the facilitator, the person who's going to organize everything in the drive, etc.
Let's continue here. So tip number 7, activate the community. We are in the process of even creating a logo. We haven't done it yet, but it's like representative symbols or a campaign or a slogan, something that gives that sense of belonging to the community. And number 8, very important, consolidate and evaluate. What do we mean by this? See how the community is going, if the people are satisfied, if the objectives are being met, or we can change strategies. This community actually started as a face-to-face community, but we realized that not enough members were attending and they were expressing the preference for a virtual modality. And that is why, for example, we started that way. Another implementation that we are discussing is that this community is carried out in Spanish, the sessions. But speaking as a community, we said, why don't we carry the sessions in English? It's going to be a good way for all of us to keep practicing. So that is just a way to say that we need to see how the community is going and take actions to correct and make sure everyone is enjoying it.
In this state, it's also possible to change the main goal, because at the beginning, it could have been just forming a community to share experiences, but we started as sharing apps, websites, and now we are talking about AI. So that was our evolution. The community cannot be the same, right? It's always changing.
Very good. Let's pass to the next slide, please. And to close, a final QR code, maybe too many. This is a QR code in case you want to join our WhatsApp group, either to attend our sessions, or maybe you can just join the group to get ideas from us and to implement it in your communities. This is open, this is free for anyone. This is something for all the community. So we invite you to join if you want. And
remember, we are teachers, learning from teachers, talking like it's horizontal. So feel free to share the information that you have to.
Okay, so now let's share some. Okay, we want to thank you very much for paying attention to us. It has been a pleasure for us to share our collaboratory, our community. Just in case you want to, or you need to contact us, okay, you have the emails, and of course you have the most important objective is we would like you to be part of the community, okay? And what about, do we have time to share, to see
One more
the
slide.
Padlet? One more?
Before, I like this powerful quote here. La IA no reemplaza al profesorado, lo potencia. So let's not think about it as a threat, but as a tool.
And there is a quote that says, artificial intelligence or technology doesn't replace us. It replaced us. Replaced us. It doesn't replace us. Okay, good. Is it possible to see the Padlet? So, do you have questions before sharing the results of the Padlet? Any questions? Comments? Okay.
First.
Okay, some of the questions you already answered them in your speech, but maybe you want to rephrase them. So just to clarify the information. The first one is, how do you measure the impact of the colaboratorio on bilingual education?
And do we start answering each one, or like first the round of questions?
Yeah, one by one.
One by one? Okay. That's a very good question. Thank you very much. And that's something that actually in the community we have also been addressing. Like we have asked ourselves, okay, we have discussed how our teaching practices has improved with the community. We have heard and read firsthand how our peers say, guys, before the group, I didn't know how to insert a prompt. I didn't know how to make the prompt successful. Now in the group, this is working. But we have discussed as a community, like in a future topic of our agenda, how do we address that? The impact of our community in our students' learning. Yeah, to make that clear. So we humbly acknowledge that we have not yet studied how this community is impacting the students' role. From the teacher's role, yes, we are becoming literate in AI. We are becoming more competent. But now it's a big matter to learn and to discover how our students are benefiting from our community. That's actually like a future topic that we're going to address in the group. So not yet, in process.
Okay. There is another question that says, which strategies could be implemented to actively involve students and parents in the decision-making processes concerning the educational use of AI?
Yes. That question is extremely important. We mentioned that because when we shared with you all the guide, la guía de estudio con IA, we are also implementing this as a pilot, like a pilotaje in our classes. What are we doing with this? At the start of our courses, we are signing with our students a pedagogical agreement, yeah, like a contract. And in that contract, well, we address different issues, attendance, of course, respectful treatment among peers, but we have like a chapter in the agreement that is about ethical use and responsible use of AI in the classroom. So from the side of Parents, we don't address it, as in our case, we are teachers, or this community is in higher education in the University of Antioquia. But this can be perfectly taken to the role of the public school system, where we can share this agreement with the parents and say, look, this is what we agreed between teachers and between students. And to give some specific points, some of the things that we agreed in this contract is when the teacher grades using AI or designs a material using AI, we have agreed with them that we put like a small footnote, yeah, like a small note, and it says the teacher has graded this activity with the support of AI. However, we maintain the human element, yeah. But also in that contract, we asked our students to put the same thing. If our students carry out an activity using AI, they put a note. We asked them to please put a note. Go ahead, Nina.
I would like to add something there. Knowledge is power. So if you do know the tool, if you want to implement it, just share it, explore it, and be very critical about it. But I am very sure parents, some parents, depending on the community, already know a little bit about AI. And the reality is that most of the high schoolers are already using AI. So we need to implement strategies to use AI, but in a responsible way, not just copy and paste. And I did this. And as teachers, we know our students. We know when they're just copy and pasting. So it's important to share the information since the beginning of the year and keep track on it. Always follow up what is happening.
Just one thing to complement this that Lina says, which is extremely important. In the same way that we as teachers are getting experience in identifying when our students are using AI, we must be sure that students already know when we are using AI. Do you know what I mean? Like they know now when the teacher made this beautiful instruction with emojis and with links and everything looks, I think the teacher did this with AI. So let's just be clear with everyone, transparent, and put a note. Yeah, that's what we're doing. This material, so we put something like nota aclaratoria. Este material fue creado con el apoyo de IA, pero se mantiene la curaduría humana. You know, it's like just making that clear for everyone that we are doing it, you are doing it too. Let's be ethical and clear about it.
That's it. Thank you very much. Because the other questions you already answered. All right.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Honored guests, we have arrived at the final of our event, a culmination of the insights and knowledge shared throughout this conference. This panel will bring together two distinguished experts who are at the forefront of language education and digital solutions.
First, we have Benjamin Gonzalez Fuentes, the key account manager of Cambridge University Press and Assessment in Colombia. He has extensive experience in English language teaching and educational project management throughout Latin America. He currently leads the implementation of digital learning solutions and teacher training programs with leading schools and universities.
We are also joined by Lucia Gordillo, a master in teaching English as a foreign language and a Cambridge University Press and Assessment and Speaking examiner. She has a wealth of experience primarily in directed positions at schools and universities. Currently, she is an English professor at Universidad Pontificia Bolivariana and a bilingual advisor for the Norandino-Lasallian district.
And finally, we introduce Dr. Alba Milena Rios Diaz. Is a primary education graduate with advanced studies, including a PhD in education and social studies, with plenty of teaching experience in both private and public education. She has published on bilingualism, public policy, curriculum, and collaborative language learning. Currently, she serves as the leader of the bilingualism program at Institución Educativa Juan María Céspedes. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage for our final discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying so late. We know it's been a long day, but we're very happy to have you here with us, and we survived. We made it, despite the heat. First of all, I would like to acknowledge all of you, each of you. This is something I repeat over and over again, and I say, teachers do the magic. It's not the leaders, it's not directors, principals, coordinators, any of us. Teachers do the magic. And nothing and none of these results could happen without you. So we really value and express our gratitude for your presence today in this space. And we will be very brief, we promise that. We also feel it. So we're going to discuss surrounding a few questions, only a few questions. Most of it summarizing everything we have discussed today from the perspective of the three different lines we had along our Congress. And I want to take it from the last insight we received from the professors from Universidad de Antioquia, right? They mentioned something very valuable, and I think is the first lesson we received today. We are a community. Today, we are already a community. And this sort of event serves as providing us the opportunity to negotiate, to find best practices, to find alternatives, and to find someone else feeling the same things we feel sometimes, right? So I'm going to give the floor to my partners here on stage, asking you the first question. How can effective leadership foster a culture of innovation and adaptability in today's fast-paced world?
Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for the invitation. And I believe, okay, that this new leadership has to do with effective decision making. We know that nowadays, as we saw today, we have the AI, and we need to work with it in an ethical way, meaning that in order to be good leaders, we need to know this tool and to be responsible in how we're going to use it, either in the classroom, either outside of it. Even as teachers, we need to understand that we have an ethical role in using it, but we also need to understand that our students are going to be part of this. So we need to encourage this AI literacy, okay, something that was mentioned today. And okay, also leadership means trusting students. So it means that accountability and ownership need to be given to our students, because when they feel that they are given responsibilities, they become more creative. And remember what they said in one of the speakers said, that this is a tool. Information is there now, like what's happening, okay, around the world is there. While we were here, lots of things happen, and with AI, we know we can know what happened, okay. But the human touch is going to be given by us, by teachers.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I think one of the most important things in leadership is give the students the opportunity to an open communication, to give them the ways that, okay, you can do it. Maybe you're a little afraid to do something new, but let's go beyond your capacities. Because it's not only what are you doing here, you can do more than you believe. So when the students have their feeling and they believe in themselves, they can do more. And I think one of the most important examples was our students being here, standing up, speaking in English. Maybe when they were a little afraid and they told me, teacher, but there's a lot of people over there, but you can do it. Trust in you, trust in what are you doing, trust in this experience. So I think that is one of the clues for leadership. Trust in yourself and believe in your talent. When René says Your superpowers, we have superpowers. Our students have superpowers. And when they believe in their superpowers, they can lead and they can become in a global citizens. And I think it's very important they have that confidence.
Okay. I'm going to summarize a little bit. From this side, I see agency, enhancing agency in our students, and from this side, and on this side, I see challenge, right? Challenging. Very good. Let's see our next question. In what ways can artificial intelligence be leveraged as strategic ally to drive business growth and solve complex problems?
Okay, as we mentioned before, nowadays AI needs to be used everywhere, not only in education, but in no matter what business. So, saying that, it means that organizations will be able to respond faster to challenges and to things because this is a tool that we are going to be using and that we are using nowadays. But once again, I think we need to understand that we have a huge responsibility. We have a huge responsibility, as we saw in that video when we saw the speaker speaking Spanish and then the translation in English. It was very difficult for us. Well, I couldn't, just because we had the Gen AI phrase over there, we knew which one was the created by the by the artificial intelligence. Okay, so nowadays what we need to encourage is more critical thinking. We need to take this 21st century skill and it has to be like what guides us inside the classroom. Okay, so more or less, okay, this is what I think.
Okay, I think artificial intelligence nowadays it's a pathway and it's a challenge. It's a pathway because it shows us many options and they're very challenging because maybe it's overwhelming us. But if we use artificial intelligence like ways of communication to link with other persons around the world and link our students with that world, it could be amazing. So our classes need to be different. Now our students are more out of our classroom that we know. We think they're there, they're watching us, but they're thinking in another thing. And they're using their cell phones all the time. So we need to get them and say, hey, okay, use artificial intelligence, but how? There are many ways you can connect to the entire world. So let's make the learning process more creatively. We need to create many opportunities, strategies using this. Because if not, our students are going to get worried in our classes and they're saying it's the same. So I can search this in my computer, I can Google it. So why are going to school? It's the same. So we need to think to create new ideas. And I know for all teachers, this is very challenging. It's not easy. And we need to change our minds and use artificial intelligence in our way. Not in the way maybe they can use it, but in a to use it like opportunity, a new opportunities.
Well, on this regard, I would only add the reach we can have nowadays through artificial intelligence. Some of us, we work in the public sector, some others, we work at the private sector, but at the end of the day, we serve the same purpose, education. We want to create or collaborate or support better human beings. No, the Juan Pablo. Yeah, Juan Pablo. It was Juan Pablo. He said, it was lovely. And he said, we are citizens, we are civilians. And exactly that's what we're doing. We're not teaching them a lecture anymore. I think we all got rid of that idea long ago. That's not what we're doing. We're helping them to thrive in the world. And in that way, artificial intelligence, I think, can supply or serve us as a tool to reach those who might be beyond our sight. We see some of our students, but some of them we may not see them. And we may have communities that have not received enough support or resources. That's as Juan Maria Cespedes has these beautiful experiences from La Salle. We have private schools, but we also have a public school, and we are trying to use artificial intelligence to support those very isolated communities, to give them tools and opportunities they may not have on a daily basis.
And I wanted to add that that's the reason why it is important to have everyone have access to these type of things. Because if it remains only for some people, then we're still going to have a problem because it is not going to get to everyone. So that's why they mention about the democratization of the artificial intelligence. So it needs to be for everyone. So everyone can take advantage of it.
Well, and to close, we promise our last reflection. What role do language experiences play in shaping our perceptions, interactions, and innovations in a globalized world?
Well, I believe that language is more than a tool; it's a lens, and because it is a lens, it can teach us how to see real things, how to know them. And I love that example when they talk about that different, okay, is not wrong. So in this type of experience, we can realize that different type of breakfasts are still breakfasts and they are still okay. So whenever students can have that type of experience, they really learn and they get sensible about other things, about what is actually happening in the world. That is on one side. And well, I'm sure that you realize that these three students, okay, that they developed, well, maybe they already had some of these skills, but I'm sure that now and I wrote them here, okay, okay, they develop confidence, empathy, and intercultural competence. Okay, so now they can see the world with different eyes. They had this opportunity, and they feel responsible, and they want everyone to have the same opportunity they had. So this is very valuable.
I think languages are a great journey. When you learn a new language, English, French, Portuguese, Italian, any language, it gives you to another world. It's not only here. You can journey. You don't need to take a plane. You can journey, you can travel, you can make that journey, you can travel even if you're here. If we are in our schools, but we know to learn and we can connect, we can communicate with other people around the world, we are traveling. And we don't need money, we don't need a lot to expend many things. We can travel. And this is a very nice journey. And I think in public education, this is very important. We have a great challenge here. Because in public education, we have to insurance to give all children and young people the same opportunities as in private school. So languages can link that. Here is not public or private. Here we're talking about how to connect our students to the world and how to give them the higher standards in this life. and high standards as citizens and Colombian people, and to give them these tools to travel. So I think languages are a journey and a big tool.
I just wanted to mention, okay, adding to this, that we as teacher, we need to bring the world to the classroom, okay? And AI now let us do this. So once again, in a responsible way, let's use it.
All right. Kind of to bring everything my peers have brought our attention to. These are concepts that came forward from all the different conversations we had today. And probably that's what the experience actually brings. Classroom experience, learning experience, teaching experience brings to our students and to us. I truly believe the best way to learn is by teaching something. And probably we also need to learn cultural awareness. We need to learn empathy. It's not easy. We may think it's commonplace, but it might not be all the time. Critical thinking, problem solving, a classroom problem. We have them all the time. And we are also teaching them to come with solutions to problems through our classroom practice. Building their own identity, and this is something very valuable that was mentioned today. And I tend to say this to my students as well, because I remain being a teacher. It doesn't matter if your English is very paisa. That's okay. As far as you can actually communicate, interact, you are being part of a movement. And I want to leave you with this last concept. I know many of us have heard it, locality. It's not about Medellin. It's not about Colombia. We live in a world, and nowadays AI, internet technologies, digital world, social media, we belong to the same spot. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here and to listen to us. And we're sure this commitment of you as a teacher, it's a great strategy to give our students the best. You are the best, and we're giving the best to our students. Thank you very much.
Llegamos al final de este valioso encuentro académico, el Congreso Internacional de Bilingüismo, Lenguajes que Transforman. Hoy hemos compartido experiencias locales e internacionales, reflexiones sobre liderazgo, innovación, inteligencia artificial y educación. Además, la voz de nuestros estudiantes, protagonistas en la construcción de un mundo más justo, inclusivo y conectado.
Este congreso nos recuerda que el bilingüismo no es únicamente el aprendizaje de un idioma, sino una herramienta poderosa para inspirar, unir y transformar. Este es el puente que conecta la escuela con el mundo real y que fortalece nuestro
ecosistema bilingüe. Muchas gracias y hasta un próximo encuentro.
Les recordamos que si hay personas en el auditorio que aún no han diligenciado la encuesta, que también es la asistencia, recuerden que este es el medio para el certificado de participación. Por si necesitan diligenciarlo, se pueden acercar y aquí lo estaremos compartiendo, si aún no lo han hecho. Muchísimas gracias. Vamos a hablar aquí para volverlo a proyectar y todos podamos confirmar que se haya diligenciado. Ya lo van a proyectar.